Okay, I chose to do mine on the Yellow Wallpaper. I've actually read this before, so it was nice to read it again. I really enjoyed it when I read it in high school in about 11th grade, so it's been about 3 or so years since I read it. Um, I didn't quite remember at first. I was like, that sounds familiar, but then when I started reading it, I was like, I've totally read this before in English 11 double A. Um, so it was nice to reread it. I watched Professor Barr's PowerPoint on the shoot. I don't remember what they were technically called. Anyway, but I chose feminism just for the fact that in his PowerPoint he mentioned that women are made to seem more insane than men, and they go crazier than faster than men and whatnot, and I felt like that was very well displayed in this short story because it starts off with her and her husband, going to this house to get, to get relief on her mind and whatnot, and her husband was a doctor and whatever, and through the whole book, just, through the whole paper, she slowly starts to seem more mentally unstable, and towards the end, she like locks herself in her room and she's tearing down the wallpaper that she's so obsessed with, and she just has this unhealthy obsession with this yellow wallpaper with these intricate designs, and the smell of the wallpaper lingers in her hair, and she, sees women shaking the wallpaper, and she tries to help these women out. And I think my favorite line that is almost a reflection of herself is what she says. It's on page 787. It's in section 155, and it says, "I didn't realize for a long time what the thing was that showed behind that dim sub-pattern, but now I'm quite sure it is a woman. By daylight she is subdued, quiet. I fancy it is the pattern that keeps her so still. It is so puzzling. It keeps me quiet by the hour." Um, I found that interesting because it's almost as a reflection to herself, and she mentioned it before, at nighttime she's restless and she doesn't sleep as well at night as she does during the day, and I found that interesting because she reflects that through the woman on the pattern, that the woman on the pattern is calm during the day, but at nighttime she's shaking the pattern and twisting it and wants to get out. Um, and that's more so a reflection of herself. Like during the day she's calm and quiet and can sleep, and she writes on her paper and everything, and then at nighttime she doesn't sleep and she just stares at the intricate designs and follows them from the bottom corner all the way up, and she's just overly obsessed with the pattern. um and that is mentioned with, feminism, of women becoming more insane than men. I also think that this could be a new historicism paper. Like, if you could look at that from that analytical view, just for the fact that in Barr's PowerPoint he mentions that a time period and an author's life, it impacts their work, and I think that's so true here. I mean, if you read like the little description of the Yellow Wallpaper before on the first pages of it, it says that the story is based on Gilman's struggle with depression after the birth of her daughter Catherine in 1885. Seeking help for emotional turmoil, Gilman consulted the eminent neurologist Silas Ware Mitchell, who prescribed his famous rest care. Um, this paper would have never became this fictional short story would have never been a thing if, like, this wouldn't have been an experience of hers, um, dealing with depression in her own personal life, and I think that is very impactful here. And it also, her time period also impacts it because it's almost kind of like she's making it seem kind of like smart alecky, that, you know, she seemed more insane than she really was. And I think that she's showing this to be over dramatic and making it seem like she was going more insane than she was. And her resting was making her seem more insane, and this wallpaper and like her fascination over it and her constantly thinking about it and focusing on something was helping her. um it's an incredible piece, and I imagine that there have been psychoanalytic pieces written about this on psychology students everywhere. And I have no right to say that this could be a psychoanalytic paper, because I don't know anything about depression. I don't know anything about psychology or anything like that. Like, I'm not a psychology major whatsoever. Um, but I imagine I could picture psychologists reading this paper and thinking so many different things about it. And it's so interesting, and it's such a good piece, and it's so easy to read, and it's so relatable in so many ways to people who struggle from depression and focus on one thing. And I love this piece. I think it's my favorite piece by far. Is very enjoyable. I really enjoy it. And it was nice to reread it from high school.